Zom, all, entirety. It is known by many names, but perhaps the most ancient is the name used by the Medians, Oshai Genigioth. It is said that Zom created itself, broke from what it had been to become what is. As for what was before, none know. With this freedom, it grew from itself the mixed-clad coal, ancestors of the gods, and from the dust of their birth it formed galaxies, stars, and the Littora. Deeming itself too bare of life, from the detritus and afterthoughts of the mixed-clad coal shaped it mortality. In form, the Ragonites. They were given no place to dwell, rather they were to fill the role of the most minuscule bacteria in this earliest ecosystem. The gods lived among the celestial bodies and vast emptiness of the primordial universe, breathing galaxies for air and eating superclusters for enjoyment. However, ingestion or inhalation of mortality had horrid effects on their physiology over time, which the older among them could resist, but the young were susceptible. The mixed-clad coal began to fear their unseen neighbors after the incomprehensible first death of the firstborn god, the babe of balefire, due to mortality. From the babe's corpse rose the childish whimsy of the never-sombered death, who, by his very conception, was given authority to reap both man and god. Zom never spoke to any of its children regarding itself or the creations from its flesh. Thus the mixed-clad coal did not know of the Ragonites, nor the Ragonites them as of yet, but both knew death. What remained of the babe's corpse, intestines, bones, etc., were settled by the Ragonites inside of it, a group of newly formed planets collectively known as Thumragan. What little we know about the surface is told by an unnamed explorer who awoke on one of these planets via unknown means. He gives many descriptions of the place, some broad and some specific. Rolling hills, dotted with stones, ever perfect in dimension and composition, obscure the elusive horizon's alien glow, where the skies always wear morning clothes, and shadows dance without sun to guide their ways, and the star's place looms the dismembered thumb of some primeval, which the eons have since forgotten. Brittle fingernails rain upon the crusted hide of what could scarcely be deemed soil, pouring from the crumbling digit above. It is here that the medians skip vigintillions of years of history to what is consistent in their oral tradition. The mixed-clad coal eventually split between six broad family groups, the Bonton, Talman, and Hronite pantheons, of which we know they are above the Macrolithora, and thus are often called the Macrolithoran gods, but that term is entirely too generic and in fact incorrect, as they dwell outside of Lithoran existence altogether. The Hronite pantheon, of which we know only a few names, Otniu and his father Vimater, with his wife Wuv. There's also mention of Yom, who seems to facilitate travel for lesser deities to Hrongurin, along with Vimater's father, being briefly mentioned by the name Kalopyranogonaginemes. As for whether these deities have domains or anything like that, it doesn't seem so. Also, there's Horkliv, also known as Hokrliv, but his appearance, as described by Nakyavan in The Wonder of Ualtz, is intensely microlithoran in nature, but he could be separate from all known pantheons altogether. The Bonton and Telman are mentioned in the chants and rituals of various cults described, of which I'll put the quotes on screen, as I will not attempt to pronounce them. Volgrush, Talmenos, Ulfosu, De delectotrush, Undir, Gilgandogrush, Alvirastruk. Dotbir song til rolo forat Jongtir, Jongtiremos, Bontanos, Xamos Bontanos, Elo Cleloro, Michil Telero. Talmenos and Bontanos are typically used as names for the higher realms above Hongurin, but that is all we can place about them. The other three branches are the Ulfosan, Benrayahan, and Red Pantheons, but very little is known about them. These six come from two different family stocks, the Othan and Boyon, both of which came from the mixed-clad coal. The Medians were equal with, if not greater than, these two groups, and they never split as the others, allowing them to consolidate their power as the ultimate authority in Zamian existence. The Ragonites are the ancestors of all mortal kind, whether literally, by inspiration, or via manipulation of genetics. Considering that Ragonites were the only creatures in the universe, those among them that were undesirable were transformed by their shamans into the first animals. Eons later, the great Rogganites disappeared inexplicably, leaving behind only remnants of their civilization. Otniu, a rare friend of them, was distraught about the lack of life, and took it upon himself to construct mortal life on his own. At this time, the Latora were all singular grains, and not organized into the structure we now know. Anu spent eons alone, picking up every grain individually and meticulously crafting the Latora until, with a mighty resonance, they began generating their own life. Thus, Otniu, rather than Xom, is heralded as the god of creation by anyone native to the Latora. Overall, the gods are extremely cryptic, and do not consider themselves gods, at least not in comparison to the higher realms speculated to be Talmenos and Bontanos. As for the other branches, we only know of one specific creature that is not confirmed to be a god, that being the ungulate. This is essentially all we know about the creation of the wider universe and Latora, but certainly not everything about deific politics, and a lot of the tension that goes on there. So the next video will likely be on that. Until then, Ugrai Re.